seat. You got all the guys in town working your assembly line. There's Gino, Tom, and Phil, Ralph, Joe, and Bill, taking turns putting their meat on the grill. I hate every bone in your body except mine. They all stand in line to worship your shrine. You take them in like a friendly canine. Yes, you're a talker, but never a giver. Sure, you'll arrive, but never deliver. I hate every bone in your body except mine.
Preface. The preface to a book is probably always written last. After completing this incomplete account of the meaning of heredity and of biological forces in human life and society, I can only express a hope that the reader, who is not a special student in these matters, will learn as much and gain as much pleasure from reading it as I have gained from writing it. If it only stimulates him to reflect upon these problems in a new way, it will have fulfilled its purpose. The special student will find large omissions in the literature of heredity, genetics, and eugenics, especially in the field of biometrics. That might have been brought together and surveyed. But when we sum it all up, there have been very few investigators in these fields who have developed knowledge that seems immediately available for the work of social reconstruction, or which can be just now made interesting to the general reader. I have thought it best to describe more in detail the few investigations which have passed the gauntlet of scientific criticism and have secured an apparently safe place in scientific literature. This does not mean that other studies have not attained that position, but some of them are either incomplete, such as the very important researches now underway by Dr. Raymond Pearl, Professor Carl Pearson, Professor Edward L. Thorndike, and a few others, or else they are somewhat remote from immediate human interest and, therefore, difficult to make dramatic and readable for the general public. My thanks are due to all these men and to other biologists and psychologists who have lent me material, called my attention to special researches, and also aided me with personal criticism and advice. Needless to say, I am greatly indebted to Dr. Frederick Adams Woods. Mr. Carl Easton Williams, editor and journalist, first induced me to believe several years ago that the general public might be interested in heredity and eugenics, and through his encouragement I wrote a number of magazine articles that seemed to win a generous response. This book is the outcome of the original encouragement, a testimony to the influence of environment. My thanks are also due to Mr. Arthur T. Vance, the far-sighted editor of The Pictorial Review, for permission to reprint the main body of several articles which have appeared in that magazine. Throughout every phase of the work, my wife has been my constant and invaluable assistant. The lay reader must understand in advance that this book is not an attempt to cover the problem or problems of eugenics and race improvement in their entirety. That would be impossible. The first criticism of the lay reader is likely to be, who is going to do the selecting of parents? I trust the reader will find from this book that there is but one answer to that question, and the answer is, except in rare instances of obvious hereditary defect, nobody is going to select parents for anybody. The problems of eugenics, there is no one problem, are problems of psychology, of biology, of economics, of political science, of practical politics, of climate, of race, of art, of history, education, morals, religion, and of all those forces which play ceaselessly, whether he will or no, upon the organic nature and destiny of man. Eugenics is the basis of the new sociology, and sociology is the cap sheaf of all the sciences. Eugenics is, therefore, the application of human intelligence to human evolution. I trust the following pages will indicate to the reader what some of these problems are and how some of them may be hopefully approached. If they succeed in doing this, they will deserve a small place in what will, in time, become the largest literature and the most extensive and intensive intellectual and spiritual discipline of mankind, the discipline of race culture. This is the new humanism which science offers to mankind. It offers for the first time the possibility of building a social heredity which will, by its own spirit and processes, improve human heredity. And this improved human heredity will in its turn improve the social heritage. But it is the one final adventure of the human intelligence and spirit which, if it succeeds, and it will succeed, will bring the earthly redemption of man and fill the world with inborn intelligence, health, and happiness. AEW, New York City. Table of Contents. Chapter 1, Does Blood Tell? Chapter 2, What Heredity Tells and How It Tells It. Chapter 3, What Heredity Tells and How It Tells It, continued. Chapter 4, What Education Tells. Chapter 5, What Prenatal Influence Tells. Chapter 6, What Prenatal Influence Tells, continued. Chapter 7, What Twins Tell About Heredity. Chapter 8, What Twins Tell About Heredity, continued. Chapter 9, What Cousin Marriages Tell About Heredity. Chapter 10, Is Disease Inherited? Chapter 11, Is Brain Power Inherited? Chapter 12, Is Brain Power Inherited? Continued. Chapter 13, Measuring Heredity in Royalty. Chapter 14, Measuring Heredity and Royalty, continued. Chapter 15, The Influence of Leaders Upon National Life. Chapter 16, Can We Make the Human Race More Beautiful? Chapter 17, Woman's Place in Race Improvement. Chapter 18, Can We Make Motherhood Fashionable? Chapter 19, Birth Control, a Two-Edged Sword. Chapter 20, Does Heredity or Environment Make Men? Chapter 21, What You Can Do to Improve the Human Race.